Naomi, thank you so much for coming on the Parables. I appreciate you so much for driving from Orange County. Yeah?
Yeah, Irvine.
Irvine?
Woo woo.
Man, I have been so excited about this episode for a couple of reasons. So first off, so this is Naomi Marin, right?
Marin, like, I don't get offended anymore.
I told you I was going to murder that, didn't I?
Yeah, no, all good.
So I'm excited for this episode for a couple of reasons. One is, like we just talked about earlier, you are the first makeup artist and hairstylist to be professional, to be on the podcast. And second, we were both introduced by a good friend of ours, Andrew Cruz. Shout out to Andrew.
Hey, Cruz.
So I've been so excited about this episode, and I think it's been like, what, a month and a half in planning.
Yeah.
So thank you again for coming,
Yes,
driving over
my
here.
My pleasure.
So, yeah, you know, I'm so excited as well. I mean, as you know, me being a male, your industry is very foreign to me. So I'm excited to really dive in to know a lot about yourself. You're doing some incredible things, I know, with not only in your profession, but also within the community. So I'm totally excited.
Yeah, I'm pumped as well. You know, when you reached out, when Andrew referred me over, I was pretty impressed of your podcast, you know, and just how the branding, I'm huge when it comes to content creation. So kudos on that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's funny because we work out together at 4 a.m. and then
I've been seeing you guys are beasts. I mean, yeah, I am no one to compare to. My stories are going to come in like, no, it's nothing compared to you guys.
I'm still adjusting, truthfully.
Getting all yoked out and stuff.
I'm still adjusting, but it's funny because I want to tell you the story before we start. I think we were just in the middle of the exercise. He pulls me to the side, so I'm thinking like, okay, like I think we're going to talk deep about something. He goes, hey, Ejay, I know someone perfect for your podcast.
He saw makeup.
Yeah. So it's just funny because he totally caught me off guard. But, you know, again, I'm so happy that he made it happen and now you're here. So let's do this.
All right.
So, you know, as you know, the Parables is really, we're here to just, get to know you, of course. I want my audience to get to know you, who you are, and everything that's led to where you are today. And hopefully they could gain something out of that. I like to call this podcast a beacon or portal of light, you know, something they could take away from our conversation. Yes. And hopefully they could apply and become the best versions of themselves. Yes. You know, it doesn't matter what industry anyone comes on here, whether, you know, the wisdom and knowledge and the perspective they share. I think everybody could take something away.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree.
Yeah. So let's start off a little bit. Let's get to know you, kind of your upbringing, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Okay. Well, I was born in East LA, Boyle Heights, technically, and, you know, raised probably in two different cities. All throughout my childhood, I'd say from up to about 5 years old, I was raised by my grandparents. Okay. I love my mom and dad, Caesar, Marin, Martha Olmos, you know, I love you.
Shout out to the parents.
Shout outs to the parents, just let you know. But, you know what, great parents, set of, you know, examples. But you know what? Hey, things didn't work out. They were high school sweethearts.
Okay.
But one thing is that, you know, majority of the time when divorces go, and I like that, just before we move forward, is that I really like that you've had a couple people come on, and a lot of them have been from single mom stories.
Yes.
And, you know what? Don't want to go there as like, oh, I grew up poor. But, I mean, I couldn't even get, like, a Coca-Cola for 25 cents. You know, my mom was very frugal with the money. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we lived with my grandparents in East LA. And that's where I'm very fortunate enough that I wasn't, when you're a kid, you don't really tend to appreciate you know, your grandparents. So they, growing up with them, seeing how they were first generation here, migrated to this country from Mexico. Mm. And having 15 kids, my grandmother and grandfather. My mom was the youngest of 15. Mm-hmm. So she was the most spoiled. I'd say she got like maybe 2 pairs of shoes. So I grew up with that mentality, is that 1 pair of shoes, you know, very limited, you know, clothing. And when it comes down to it is, I started going to Burbank Unified School Districts, probably like first grade. So first through like 8th or 7th grade. Mm-hmm. And so all through that childhood, I grew up in East LA, but my mom, she was working in Burbank. So she would use someone's address. So, you know,
Gotcha.
doing that sneaky, it felt so illegal back then.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh my God, like I really just need to get my kid to school.
Everyone did it.
You know?
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was my upbringing when it came to, you know, living in both worlds. You know, you got drive-bys at night. You know, sometimes, I mean, I witnessed probably about 3 drive-bys in my lifetime.
Wow.
You know, 50 feet away. I mean, I remember ducking down, walking down the street, you know, to get some ice cream. You know, so it was to me, it was normal, I guess.
Yeah.
But then growing up and going to school in Burbank, to me, it was suburban, you know, lifestyle. It wasn't tough because it's like you didn't really know if I was too American in East LA, but then I was too Mexican,
Gotcha.
you know, in Burbank. So it was kind of like I fit in, but I don't know, not really.
Did you grow up like towards high school and those years also in Burbank area as well, or did you kind of?
Yes.
Okay.
So I went to 3 different high schools, and that was just due to you know what, mom got fired. Mom got fired, got let go from her jobs. So proud of her for, you know, that was blessings in disguise of how we migrated I went to 3 different high schools because, you know, it was, hey, where can you go? We got to move here. Then we bought a home. She bought a home with my cousin Lisa, both single moms, very proud of those women. And at 15, so that's when I got my license immediately, like at 15 years old, and that's when I decided to go back to Burbank High School districts.
Now I know LA area is obviously a cultural hub of the world, right? How was it growing? I mean, obviously, like you said, you know, you're used to like the drive-bys, how loud it was, but also, what about the culture? How did that kind of mold you to kind of maybe what you started doing today?
You know what it did? It obviously makes you grow thicker. I don't know if to compare to others, but thick skin. It also grounded me to not feel so, and that's where I kind of have grown to is that entitlement. I feel that, you know, living in East LA, Boyle Heights gave me a different perspective, and it keeps you really humbled. You know, the people, local businesses, I mean, los palateros, you know, el letero man, like the frutero man, you know, it's that culture of just all being like a community, unity. I played basketball. Pretty much I started at 7 years old till end of high school. And I got really serious with it and doing travel ball.
So you were a baller.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah. Oh, my mom put me, my gosh, I probably played every sport that was in the park recreation sign-ups because, you know what, my mom was a single mom. You know what she would do, Martha?
What'd she do?
I didn't choose to be in basketball. She chose because she heard through another parent, because I was in ESL class, Spanish was my first language, and that's what she would just, those opportunities she would get to talk to their parents, like, hey, what's an after-school daycare program? Because they're like, well, you know, I put her in basketball. Oh, she'd sign me up to every sport, softball, basketball, soccer, swim. She put me in tennis one time. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Put me in hockey. I got my ass kicked and handed to me in there. But I really stuck to, and actually track. So track and basketball, I'd say I was pretty, passionate for, or just had was thrown in and did my best at.
But it sounds like it was a great move, obviously.
Yes.
It got you out of probably like the rough crowds, other bad things, right?
Definitely. I mean, I was so scared of my mom. Like, she was my best friend. You're my best friend, Mom. But till this day, I am petrified of her. Like, I'm like, call the cops, call the FBI, call CIA. Do not call my mom.
That's what, you know, so I'm curious to know, because I am a big basketball fan.
Yeah.
What position did you play, and who was your favorite player, or professional player? I would imagine you looked up to somebody.
Yes. So my position was point guard because I was really good. My thing was speed. I don't know why my coaches put me at point guard. It was because I was fast.
Yeah.
But until this day, I can actually own it that I sucked at offense, but I was quick. I excelled in fast breaks, and free throw shots.
Nice.
And defense. Like, you put me in there because, you know what, think of it. I mean, I was a skinny, scrawny, you know, little thing. And, you know, I'm going with these like girls that are like fucking tough as nails. And I had coaches that literally, our coach Steve, I remember I was in second grade.
Yeah.
This coach was yelling. He had the mouth on him. I mean, cursing us out at the age of 6, 7 years old. You know, we're going up and down. So I've always had really tough coaches. And you know what? They always were influential and mentors because they always disciplined, but they had a reason why they were disciplined. They weren't just like yelling at you like, get the fucking ball.
There's always logic behind why they're disciplining you. It sounds
because of not just one reason, 3 reasons why. And Naomi, hey, you're not good at offense, but you're not good at this department, but you must excel at these other various departments. And so I think that's where my coaching, the mentality has come in place of being really strong, level-headed, is that always if you're going to give direction or give some advice or, you know, hey, you should do this, and have your reasoning and back it up with a story. Yeah.
I know sports, looking at some of, your past history, that sports plays a huge role, like you just said, going into your business, your coaching and things like that. You know, that's amazing because I think sometimes people, what I love about this platform is we kind of get to dive into know who you are, but we start to identify, and sometimes even the guests don't even know. Like, dang, now I know why I'm like this. Yeah. But like you said, you implement it into your business, and I could see. I mean, obviously you have a pretty successful business that you're doing. You were into sports. Yes. I'm curious to know where the artistic side may have came from.
Well. That came into place. You know what it came down to? It was, I love to doodle. Okay. I love doodling. Oh my God, in class. Man, I would I'd always have to have something like my books. I always like played with like the edge of the book and like doodle with it. And that's when I started getting into makeup. Probably when I was like 8 years old. Okay. I started cutting hair at the age of 5 years old. Wow. So to all my nieces, sorry about that. Oh man, I did some damage on some of my nieces and just getting a pair of scissors and just started going at it. And I just started to be creative. I love to do, collages. I was so huge into collages at a young age, pictures, and I really had this admiration for Vogue magazine. Vogue, Naomi Campbell. I have an uncle George, and he would always call me a supermodel. Just because I had a big insecurity, just like my weight. It's just, it's just fast metabolism. Yeah. Like my mom, she was the same way. Like just
no matter what you guys ate,
we can eat, and people, my best friends, dear family members can attest to that. Like, girl, do you not? Maybe when I mid-30s, then it'll slow down.
It might change a little bit.
But going back to the artistry, the artistic mind just goes everywhere.
Yeah.
But going back to that is that when, I would raid my mom's makeup bag, and she would literally, I would have to scrape. Do you remember those small, the soap studs from the like elementary schools where you pump? It was like a powder.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would put eyeliner on. Okay, I'm like 11 years old. I'd put like eyeliner on. My friends would like lend me from Claire's, and I would literally put it on. Before my mom would pick me up, I would get that soap. You know how hard it is?
Yeah.
With water, and try to wash out the eyeliner.
Wow, with
my
that. Oh man.
Man,
because you didn't want your mom to see you.
Oh yeah, no, she beat my ass. And sure enough, I had 8th grade. She just gave up. She was like, you know what? You're into it. I was like, Mom, I'm going to be a makeup artist. I swear. I had two cousins that were really into MAC makeup. And I just looked up to them like they were idols. And, they would literally give me like the last of the little crumbs of their MAC eyeshadows, and I would save, and till this day I still have those eyeshadows.
You would save them in like a little
in the eyeshadow
cups?
palette.
Oh, okay.
No, in the eyeshadow palette.
Gotcha.
And be like, here, they'd be like, I'm throwing this away. I'm like, oh my, I thought it was gold. And
like,
I promised myself at freshman year I would work for MAC Cosmetics.
And
I ended up working MAC Cosmetics. It took me about a dozen times to apply and actually get the position.
That's amazing. So you knew at a young age.
Yeah.
I mean, you had this athletic side of you, and then you had this artistic side of you, and you knew that's what you wanted to do.
Yes, makeup and hair.
Did you? So you started working for Mac, and I'm sure some other makeup companies. Did you kind of get a lot of your experience from there, the knowledge? Or?
Yes. So coming out of high school, and then just kind of trailing back of the timeline of the artistry started officially in freshman year when I started doing everyone's makeup and hair for dances.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So I probably went to about 25 school dances. Wow. And the reason why I would go to different school dances was to network with the other schools and give my business cards out.
Oh man. So you were doing that already too.
I was like, yeah, girl. I was like, oh yeah, we're rivals with them. I was like, oh fuck that. I don't care. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do my makeup real bomb. And then I would just go talk to, I would leave my dates. Literally like, okay, yeah, homie, like, all right, I'm gonna go talk to that other
You'll be like, be right back.
And the table, I'd be touching up the girls in the bathroom. Yeah, here's my business card, and I would already have the schedule of dances.
That is
and I would
amazing.
be charging $30 hair and makeup.
So you already knew,
price.
like, this was...
freshman to senior year. Yeah, and I started going back to that first business at the 9-10 years old, doing nails, $1 a pedicure, $1 a manicure. Wow. So that kind of, you call it, entrepreneur was already embedded.
Was already in you. So talk to me about, so you were working for, you were already doing that. I mean, to me, that's almost like you were already your independent contractor at that point.
Oh, yeah. I was always doing, just different gigs. But then that's when, after high school, I worked for restaurants. In-N-Out Burgers was my first gig. Okay. I was junior in high school. And then right after that, I got hired at Houston Steakhouse. I don't give too much recognition to Houston's Hillstone. If you ever ate there, they have this militant military style of how to train. And I believe that's where I got a lot of my training when it came to service of customers and clientele. Yeah, they really beat it into you.
Yeah, that's
so
amazing.
Thanks, Hillstone.
See how everything just come into play? Like it just, it's been molding you to who you are today.
And then after that, MAC Cosmetics. Oh, everyone knew, like, from In-N-Out, from all those years in high school, like Mac. Yeah. And you know what? They're tough. Back then, I applied in 2006, and then 2008 finally. So 2 years of a dozen applications. I would go to different locations because the MAC Cosmetics Estee Lauder process is that you can't just apply to one location and then that hiring location hires you. It's the whole regional. So there has to a position open up. Let's say, for instance, here in Corona, but one's available within your county. You won't get that position there. You just applied there. Gotcha. They'll throw you over.
So you have to be flexible, it sounds like, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And I was fortunate enough to open the location Burbank. Macy's.
Oh, nice.
So yeah.
So everyone knew you as she's the makeup.
Yeah,
she's the
makeup and hair.
art, makeup and hair.
Makeup and hair.
When did obviously it was getting pretty serious because you were with Mac. People knew who you were. When did it get like really serious to the point where this was a business? You started to be more of an independent contractor.
Yes.
Like
so I started off. I got that motivación when I started to get bullied at work. And I knew, and it was one girl, I'll name her nameless, but I thank her now. And that's when it was like, okay, Mac isn't going to always be there because I plan to die at Mac Cosmetics. And a lot of artists, see, that's what I want to really put out there is that a lot of artists, and let it be with Mac Cosmetics, Estee Lauder, Anastasia, like all these makeup companies are so beautiful when they first start to bloom and they start to get that core. Yeah. But once you have one bad apple, man, that will just change the whole direction,
whole culture, right?
The whole culture. Yeah, and that's how a lot of us artists, we're so loyal and we were just like, we'll fucking die for you guys. Yeah. And that's when I started to think, okay, you know what? Let me start taking other gigs on the side. And that's when my customer service was, I think, pretty legit when people were like, hey, a lot of people were approaching me of like, hey, can you come at 5 a.m. to my house? And, hey, we open our doors at 8 a.m., opening. So that's how I started getting, and then I started doing the math because I started my business at 10 years old. I was like, oh, hey, when I work in 3 hours, I do a whole week. Yeah. And that's when I started to do the numbers. So, that really took a turn when someone pushed me. Kind of trying to push you over the edge. That's when you start to seek out.
Is it safe to say you also
avenues.
identified like, because you had that entrepreneurial spirit, so I kind of feel like you kind of like identified like, you know what, this bullying thing, one, is not for me, and second, I want to be my own boss. That's kind of the sense I'm getting.
It is, because I want to do it, and not even my way. It was like I need to start giving that type of initiating that culture of being like, that's not okay. Yeah. Because now we're talking about mental, health, and when it comes to depression and it comes to not being motivated anymore and getting it, it says you have to go against the grain and being like, you know what, F this. And that's when I was like, hey, and people really liked, not even my customers, they're like, we want to go to you. And so then sure enough, I had like lines of people asking for me, at the Mac counters, and it was like, and not too many people will like that. When you start, I don't know, call it standing out or being the MVP or the all-star. And that goes in sports as well. And
like haters, like colleagues, like hating and stuff.
Haters, people in management as well. Because it's like you're trying to get recognized, and not a lot of people will like that recognition. Yeah,
they start to feel insecure about themselves.
Insecure, and that's nothing you can do about it. And see, at a young age, where you're immature and you're not really thinking, you're thinking, and that goes even throughout your whole lifetime. Is that people will have that insecurity, but that's not my job to make you to care about your feelings, to make
absolutely. And real friends, real colleagues, real good people are there to applaud you, encourage you, and uplift you rather than the opposite.
And you know what, I'd have to, it's a double-edged sword with that, friends and colleagues, because a lot of my mentors have also put me in my place and have put me to the test of demotivating me, like, you're not worth it, because that's what coaches did too. You want to prove them wrong, you want to prove them right, Naomi. You want to let them know that you're not quick enough, you better run those suicides and do them 50 times more. Naomi, same as Mac Cosmetics, you're not good at doing your eyeliner execution, you better stay late and practice, or go home and practice 5 times on your tias, your cousins, your primas, your mom. Like, you need to do that much more and excel and take initiative. When it comes to that piece.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't see it as not only were you talented, but you were definitely skilled. That requires that. Can you kind of speak on that? And I don't know how I want to word it, but obviously, I think there's a huge misconception when it comes to people like, oh, she's talented, that's the only reason why. But there's no question that there has to be a lot of skill, a lot of hard work to back that up in order to be where you're at. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yes. So when it comes to talent, talent is only developed with, I think it's sometimes, don't get me wrong, it's not hard work, it's smart hard work. You can be on a fucking treadmill, and just running, and you're not going, and you want to get to a destination. I get it, losing weight and getting, and doing the, all the work, not when it comes to, how do you say it?
Like the process of not the process.
You're on a treadmill and you're not going to a destination necessarily. Meaning of you're running on, you're going the distance of like, hey, I want to get to point A to point B. And when it comes to the hard work, you can go on a treadmill and run, but it's like, where are you going though? Like, are you going to?
Where's the destination?
Where's the destination? Or you can go run a marathon, versus or train for a marathon. But if you're just going on a treadmill like every day, it's like, okay, what's the point? Of just going on a treadmill.
It's basically like being stagnant almost to a point. Even though you are moving, but it's kind of not.
And so that's what I feel when it comes to talent and skill set, is that you have to do other than just the treadmill for speed and for burning, those calories and getting to that. And I call it not hard work, I call it smart hard work. And I don't like it sometimes when people are like, work smarter, not harder. It's like, of course you fucking have to work smart.
I was just going to say that.
It's like, you have to work smart hard. And when the talent is those, and I've over and over podcasts, I mean, all of the greats to say it, like working up, staying late. And yes, it is. When you clock out at 7:00 and your boss is still staying and doing the books and whatnot, you stay till 8 or 9. You take initiative. And that's the biggest thing is my talent I didn't get this talent, my skill set from working hard and late nights. It was staying late and being that team player.
There you go.
Being that team player, and even though sometimes you don't like that other person,
Yeah.
you know, that's working late, you know what? I'm going to help you close up. I'm going to sweep the floors and, you know, lock up with you. Because that's also going to give, and you don't have to do that. You don't have to. You can be a lone wolf. You can, but it's very scary being alone.
I'm glad you brought that up, and I may be jumping forward, but we're going to get back to your story too, I promise, is the fact that, you know, when it comes to, I've had a lot of personal trainers here. I've had a lot of real estate agents here, and, you know, there's a lot of people in a certain industry, right? With yours, I was just going to ask you, you know, what separates, you know, the makeup artist and the hairstylist from others? Because there's so many out there. What's that separating factor that you feel to you know, to take you away from that crowd and, you know, make you almost like an elite, you know, in that profession?
Being mediocre. You know, if you're just doing your clock in, clock out, just how you guys can relate in the gym. I was really dedicated in the gym 2015 before I was leaving to Spain, which we'll get to. And it's being mediocre. It's just doing the minimal, just being what you're asked to. And I think that's what's the shame of being from, and call it elite. The reason why I consider myself elite is because going against the grain, going against when others are like, okay, Naomi, you know, not even, who cares about the fucking haters? Being elite is being that authentic person to your own self and owning. I think it is when it comes down to humility. I think that's what differentiates someone that is an even elite experience, because there are a lot of elite makeup artists out there, but the ones that I respect, and I feel the people that within my circle or the people that I can relate to or that I would get along with is the people that are having that humility and learning from that. When you go to New York Fashion Week and you're working along the fucking the chaos and everything going background, like, it's quick. We prep for months. But you know what? I love the fact that even the greatest hairstylists and makeup artists can attest to as fashion designers, know all egos, the ones that the leaders that I assist, will have zero ego in that room.
They leave it out the door.
They will literally hold pins. The person who has been doing Naomi Campbell's hair, who has been on the cover of magazines, that person will assist someone who has just graduated from cosmetology school. That's the elite that I actually respect, is having humility and not having that entitlement and no ego.
I like how you were talking about mediocre, because even then, if we just go back to it, you were networking already as a child. You know what I mean? When you were doing that stuff. And I think that's the same too, because I've been preaching this so much, is that I feel like so many people, they want to get out of this shell, but they're not taking the initiative to do that.
Exactly.
You have to be different.
Initiative.
Yeah. And it's just interesting that, you know, it just takes one small step and one small choice to start differentiating yourself. Talk to me about, okay, so you were we're going to go back to your story here. You were getting a lot of clients at MAC. I would imagine you eventually left. Where was kind of like, I guess I may be jumping ahead. Where was like your breakthrough, or when was like when you started distance, you know, your next part of your journey from there?
Yes. And then that's when I left MAC Cosmetics in 2015, and I helped start 2 other agencies, beauty agencies, before I started mine. And
how did that happen?
So that happened I was let go from MAC Cosmetics.
Oh, wow.
You know what? Yep, I think that's the first time on air.
Isn't that funny though, how one thing leads to another?
Yep. I was let go, and after
best thing that happened to you too.
Oh, it is the blessing. That company though, I love. I no hurt feelings, you know it, but it comes down to the system and how stupid policies and procedures are such bullshit. You know, they don't care about the corporations they don't care about you staying late. And what about those times that you called me in for people being no shows, or those shifts that I took double over to triple overtime where I worked 50, 60 hours a week with not being clocked in. They don't take in consideration of that, but they will be so fucking quick to let your ass go.
To let you go.
Because if you know what it was? And I know all my some makeup artists have done this. You know what it was? It was going through the trash.
Wow.
Back to Mac, it's called, which I will educate you. So you know when you get your empty containers, and your girl can attest to this, is that you get empty containers of MAC Cosmetics. You bring 6 of them back and return them. And a lot of the times, women are rich and they don't even open the package. All they do is that they want to get a lipstick, or they're lazy and they literally bring a brand new package of lipsticks. And and then you can get, and so you exchange your recycles, and it's a recycling program.
I was going to say, it's recycling. Okay.
It's a recycling program, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
And I got fucking caught for getting, and I was volunteering for an event the following day to do African American skin, so there's a darker skin tone. I didn't have that foundation color in my kit, so I went through the back to Mac, scramble, and I was like, oh my god, I found a new Studio Fix NC55.
Let them know.
And NC55, and I got it out, and sure enough, when I'm walking out of Macy's location, I will name anonymous, and security, oh my god, they held me in for 2 hours investigative of why I was stealing from Macy's property.
Wow.
Something that was in the trash, going to the trash.
Yeah. That's part of a recycling program.
What are you talking about? I was like, no, I needed this. I was like, this is not my skin color, clearly.
Yeah.
Oh, they didn't care.
Wow.
They didn't care. They caught me on tape. And you know what? I now sharing my story with a couple of other former colleagues at MAC Cosmetics. It's the same shit. And I'm like, really? Like, you got, they're like, yeah, I thought I was alone. I'm like, oh my God, me too. Like, isn't it bogus? Isn't that some BS?
Yeah.
You know, and me telling my story, and you know what? And right after I got out, I mean, I left and I was in tears, but at the same time, the next day I woke up and I was like relieved, like something had lifted off. And
interesting.
A week later, I was leaving to Spain.
Wow.
Yep.
I was just going to say, it sounds like it was devastating, but then it sounded like it was an awakening.
It was an awakening. It was
like, sleeping giant.
And it was like, girl, like, stop living in the past. Stop thinking that you need to repay and you need to just, like, move on. And that is how I started to go full force with my agency.
Well, it's funny, too, because when some things like that happen, it's almost like... Yeah. We were waiting for that to happen, but not like, I don't know, like mentally.
That. I was like, really? I went down like that? Yeah. And so, my man, Justin, he laughs about it. He says, digging through the trash. And he posts
I like that. I gotta meet him. That's funny.
It's like digging, but he says that soundbite only when like I'm feeling down on myself. He says, "Remember, you were digging through the trash."
Oh, that's
to
wonderful.
Remind me of like snap out of it, get out of your funk.
and there's always a blessing in disguise after that.
Yeah,
that's crazy. So you went to Spain. What was the reason for Spain?
To Spain. You know what? It was a lifelong mission and goal of mine since I was probably 20 years old. A good friend of mine, Melanie, I had promised her I would go with her in college, and I didn't because of a boy. And I had that regret for quite a few years. Yep, always those boys. And I broke up with the ex-boyfriend, and I'd say probably about 6 months later, I bought a one-way ticket.
Wow. So you still, of course, you still went. Yeah.
I went, oh man, that's it. A one-way ticket. I remember a mentor of mine telling me that just buy the one-way ticket. Wow. And I remember a client of mine, Betty, I will never forget, sitting in the salon, and she came every week. She was 70 years old for her blow dry. And she was like, what's holding you back on buying this ticket? And I was like, well, I need to save $850. That's what it's what it costs in one way. And she's like, buy it right now. I'm like, what? She's like, I will give you half the money. How much do you have in your bank account? I was like, I only have like $400, but I need to pay my car payment. And she's like, okay, first of all, why do you have a car payment? Like, stop, get double down. You have to. And you know what? She gave me half the check. Wow. And right there, she saw me buy the ticket. And no one was in the salon. And one other person was in the salon, but I remember she was like, did you buy a ticket? And I bought it. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God.
It's like, I'm going.
I bought it February 11th, 2015. And I left January 1st, 2016. So I had a deadline to meet, 10 months to save up. My goal was to save $8,000 just for Spain. Just for Spain, $8,000.
So it's something you always wanted to do?
Oh, yeah.
But did you just kind of want to go there, not only just to travel, but it sounds like for a spiritual kind of...
You know what, spiritual, but it was also, how am I going to, because I know, okay, working in salons, and this is where it comes down to ladies and gentlemen who are in I know my industry is hair and makeup. If you don't even want to get ahead or skip, there's no shortcuts. Hell no, there's no shortcuts. But to literally do a crash course, literally you have to buckle down. And it was, you know what, it was working my ass off for those 10 months. And I was like, you know what, I need to get published. And I need to get published in a different country. Because I ain't going to get published in America, in Vogue, in Marie Claire. You have to have agents. You have to have PR. You have to have there's
the
so
initiator
many
Naomi here.
Yeah,
See?
I was like, I need to get published in a different country. I was like, And sure enough, I started networking Instagram. Hashtags. Makeup artist in Spain. Hairstylist in Spain. Hair salon in Spain. Hair salon Barcelona. Barcelona. And Barcelona was my target. Because that was the busiest. And that's what was my goal. Because that's where they said that is where the hub is.
I was going to say, so there's like a huge market there.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha.
Barcelona. Madrid is, I believe that's a little bit more conservative when it comes to what I was seeking for is like get published and what is not even going to be the quickest and easiest, but who's going to be the most responsive. And that was Barcelona hair salon. And you know what? I just networked my ass off on Instagram.
See, so, I mean, guys, I just want to interrupt here. Take note of what she's doing, what she's been doing to separate herself to become the person she is today within her profession. And she's not even done yet with her story. This is crazy. So in Spain, you were networking.
Oh my God.
You were doing all this stuff. Where did it lead you from there?
I had all these goals, to sit on the beach in Marbella and Sevilla and do this. Hell no. That year that I was in 2016 in Spain,
you were working.
I worked my ass off. I was and there is a saint's birthday, by the way, in Spain, probably like once a week. And it'll be in the middle of the week on a Wednesday. Oh, day off. I worked 60 hours minimum every week that I was there.
Wow.
I was busting my ass off. And you know what? I wanted to work. And salons, the Catalans in Spain are a different breed when it comes to, they're very territorial and they're very protective. And I don't blame them. I really don't. And that's where I had to learn to leave my American culture outside the door. And they're like, you're no longer in Kansas, honey.
Yeah.
Like, you got to do it our way. And we bumped heads a lot. And I got fired there twice.
From different,
because of different salons. Because it was,
gotcha.
And you know what? They like it when you give your all. But once you stop doing the things, it's like, okay, I've learned enough from you. Thank you. But now it's my turn. And you need to learn from me because I'm not busting my ass working for free to get published now. No. That recipe, those ingredients have like gone out the window.
Yeah.
Now it's my ingredients. Now you have to train my way because I didn't come here just to, yes, be a sponge for temporarily. But now I'm at that level right now. I'm starving. I literally can't pay rent. I couldn't even buy my bus pass. And my mom told me when you leave. You cannot put anything on the credit card. I am not sending you money. Your dad is not sending you money. I mean, my dad sent $200 one time when he came.
She had terms for you, huh?
And my aunt Delia, which I am so grateful for, she sent me $175 in cash. I will never forget that of being able to make that rent. And I was like, and that's where I started to get aggressive. And that's when I got fired. But you know what? It wasn't aggressive. It was speaking up. It was like, no, we need to start posting on social media this. And that's where I train them. I started to train these salons and I'm so proud even to this day. Now their numbers have skyrocketed. I mean, so just exponential. Like their numbers, I can't even express to you. Their sales by the time I left had gone 38% at one salon.
So they became successful even though you left them, or
after I left them with all the ingredients, all the blueprints, and everything. And it was like, and they know it's like it's your time to go, Naomi. And I'm like, I think so.
That's awesome. I see that connection because again, not only is this another example of how you were let go, but it led you to your next
I'm always
journey.
like let go. I'm like, but you know what? I never quit. So you're gonna fire me because like I'm not leaving. You're gonna have to fire me.
Yeah. Well, not just that, and not just that, but now I also see how this is going to translate to what we're going to talk about in the next part of your journey, because now you are like almost culturally aware. And obviously, your industry is worldwide. It's not just in the, in the U.S., right? So you got let go and
in Spain,
and you came back.
I came back early.
Man, I'm excited. I'm like rubbing my hands over here. Like
that's when I came. I know. I'm like, oh my God, I'm reliving like 2016, and
which
sure
is
enough,
not too long ago too.
I cut the visa short, and you know what? A majority of it was for love. Justin. I had met Justin 2 weeks. Talk about like perfect fucking timing. 2 weeks before I was leave on my visa to Spain, and we did long distance for nearly 8 months.
Wow.
And sure enough, he guided me a lot. So he is a business coach as well, and that's how we. You know how what was like, oh my God, why I fell in love with him? Tom Hopkins. He knew who Tom Hopkins was and Les Brown and Jim Rohn was. And we literally talked on the first date for hours about personal development.
Wow.
Like who
gets connected by that?
Does that?
It's almost like almost like church. It's like one of those like weird those bridges,
like,
right?
I'm like, you know who Tom Hopkins is? Like the art of selling from the 80s, because my mom was in network marketing for Primerica for nearly a decade, and funny. I'll never forget that. But yes, when I came back, we were broke as hell. He had just gone out of divorce the year prior. So yeah, we literally were starting from scratch. Okay. And broke as hell. And
what was your mentality? Like, what was your game plan? Because you took so much from Spain.
It was literally, that's my blueprint. It's literally network, build the relationships, face to face. Instagram really taught me is that you can do that from a distance if you're not within the hub. Yeah. Meaning you're not local. Yes, communicate through that. That was my avenue. Instagram is my home when it comes to that. But if someone is down the street, don't send them a fucking DM. That's my thing. Yeah. Or literally they live an hour away, make that drive. So my thing was like, okay, I need to rebuild, do the same thing I did in Spain, knock on doors, say hi. They're going to shut the door in my face probably about 3 times. But here in Laguna Beach, that was where I started to focus on. And even till this day, you know what? Knocking on doors, introducing myself. I got my website together within that all 2017. All I did was how to get my branding together, my websites, and not just my numbers up, but my branding when it came to business cards, my portfolio. I did folder packets, very well presentable, and I dropped them off at every location that I approached. Yeah, that's amazing. And you know what? That's when they started to say like, okay, this girl's bugging. Like, fine. Like, after so many no's, and that's where I go for no. Okay, I'll be back tomorrow. Like, when's that manager coming back in? Oh, she's out of town for like next week. So, I mean, she's really busy. Okay, I'll wait next week. And I would just sit. And even till this day, like I will sit.
And these are managers to what,
let it be to resorts. So my target is so my resorts, but let it be to even restaurants. Anyone that is willing to open up their doors, and because it's a referral base. Yeah, that's what I go off of. It's not Yelp. Facebook. Oh, sorry, my phone is going off.
Oh, that's fine.
But anyone who, when it comes down to, and those are my industries, remember, restaurants, resorts, and hair salons, is introducing myself. And it wasn't to sell. Yeah. It's not to sell, but basically what it is just, going door to door and face to face.
It's interesting how when you take the approach of being in the business of serving people, how that serves you. Yes. And, it helps with your brand, and how it helps accelerate, everything that you're trying to do. So talk to me. When did you start working and consulting for other agencies before you started your own?
Yes, I did. Okay. So I helped start that. But what really helps kind of get me to that point was I do quite a lot, and I'm a huge advocate, philanthropist when it comes to volunteering and giving back. And when I started to, I've been doing that for the past 6 years and really strongly about it since 2015, so 4 years. And, when I started to see, and I started to organize beauty professionals that really were authentic, okay, and genuine, of giving back and helping. And I was doing all this. I was like, oh my God, I can do this. I can have my own agency. I help consult and starting other beauty agencies and giving them the fucking roadmap. Why aren't you doing this?
You brought two passions together. You brought the community and giving back.
Yes, giving back. And that's what it was like. And so my requirements is that every quarter we're volunteering and giving back to the communities, hospitals, shelters, nonprofit organizations, foundations, providing our expertise in hair and makeup. And that's what got me started, of my agency. It really comes back to giving back. That's what actually got me going.
And when you started your agency, I mean, just walk me through, because this is all foreign to me again.
Yes.
When you, I mean, how is it? Is it kind of like we were discussing my friend who was in the commercial printing world? When it comes to agency, is it like
got
still
it.
again referral?
I know. I'm like, Ejay, don't you know what an agency is? Hello.
Well, in your world, is it kind of like referral again, where they're a big agency, then people like, hey, this is the place to go to?
We're a little three-man elite agency right now.
Wow.
I started off with 8, okay? And you will go down and down. And it comes, you know what? And I'm so happy and so proud of my 2 other, who have stuck by my side and been loyal to me. I get emotional about this because it's like, my agency consists of cross-trained, licensed. A lot of these agencies, meaning hair and makeup professionals that come on board, and then we come on site and we specialize in weddings, okay? Weddings and photo shoots. That's it. Okay, so we're mobile, beauty professionals that come on site. But difference is that every single one of the people who would come on my agency are trained, are licensed by my beauty business coaching.
Nice.
Yes.
You were you obviously blew up. You were starting to get some exposure. Was there a time when you were just like, obviously it was serious. This is like your passion in your life. But was there a time, I don't know, maybe if it was recognition, maybe you got printed somewhere where you just like, you knew like, wow,
that
everything
one time,
fell into place.
Woo! Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
It was when my moment when I knew I fucking made it huge. When 2015, I told you I was saving, busting my ass, saving all my pennies to go to Spain.
Yeah.
Is that when I had nothing and I found out Mark Cuban was going to be, and everyone knows I'm a Cube's #1 fan, was going to be speaking, doing like a Shark Tank, but for beauty professionals. And it was called Beauty Pitch. And Instagram, I posted his photo of his book, How to Win the Sport of Business. And he commented and liked it.
Oh, man.
And we went back and forth like 2 comments, like, oh shit, I didn't know it was sold at Barnes and Nobles. Yeah, Cubes, you remember that. And then I seriously, once he put that, I found out about this beauty pitch that he was going to be making, showing face there on the panel. And I seriously bought my ticket. After the show, I sneak backstage because I knew every single one of the candidates. And then all these like soccer moms are fucking going up to him. Oh, Mark, can we take a selfie? Oh, I have a beauty. And they're doing their pitches like 10 seconds. And Cube was furious.
Yeah,
he was pissed.
I bet.
So, get the fuck out of here. Like, and his you could tell his face. And sure enough, like, and then, sorry, no more pictures with Cuban. I'm like, Cubes, you commented on my Facebook profile last week of your book at Barnes & Nobles. And he looks back at me, he's like, oh yeah, nice. And I remember all those moms just looked at me with daggers like, fuck you.
They're like, who the hell is this girl?
He's like, oh yeah, nice post. Oh my God. That, Mary meeting Gary Vaynerchuk, and
that's awesome.
Ariana Huffington were probably my biggest ones. But when they were starting, like, to get to your point of when did you like start to like that grow, was I had my dear friend, client turned into like my girl, Paige Hathaway. She's the one, honestly, that put me on the map. I don't think I've ever told her that, but thank you, girl. She literally taught me so much when it comes to the art, the business of Instagram and how to network and how to do it genuinely.
The like relationships too, right?
The relationships. Oh, and she fucking boosted my fucking numbers. I went from like 4,000 followers to 27,000 within 6 months. When I already had my profile since 2011, and that happened 2014.
Yeah. And all it takes is just, again, if you're in the business of serving people, I keep telling everybody all the time, sometimes you should never discredit or overlook one person, because that one person could be your big, like a big breakthrough.
Oh, yeah. I mean? It's not even the big breakthrough. She, you know what? She depends on loyalty. Yeah. And I think that a lot of people get it mistaken, is that let it be my beauty in any industry, fitness, fashion, personal development, you name it, is that people will read through the bullshit. Oh, absolutely. People can sense, but you know what? Some will, and then some won't care, and they'll be like, I just want an opportunist, and just like, you know what? I know you're a bullshitter, but I'm still, because I want the numbers, because I want that advice, because I want that, fucking knowledge. Yeah. And I believe that that's where my mom, circle back to like as during the childhood, is that my mom's like, she never gave me shit. I always not even had to work for it. Literally at the age of 5 years old, she was like, oh, you want those basketball shoes? You're going to have to sell candies all year long to get those basketball shoes. And that's what I like about every person or mentor or colleague that I have, is that they don't just work, they work smart, hard, and they're authentic about it. I work with a lot of authentic assholes.
Yeah.
But you know what? Their heart is in a good place. And I'm like, you know what? You might be an asshole. I was like, but you're really nice, and you will give the shirt off your back to someone.
Yeah, no matter what, even because sometimes even being authentic, even if it's like it may be coming off in a bad manner, you're still going to be doing a huge disservice if you're not being authentic. Yeah. Especially when it comes to relationships.
And I have to ask you one question.
Yeah, sure.
Is that how does it feel like you asked me, like the one question that I really take from it is that when you ask me, or you ask your peers or the people that are sitting in this couch, is like, what is one thing that you actually, what are your 3 things, kind of attributes that you would recommend for your audience? Meaning when it comes to like, I'd say your lifestyle and business of what you seek into others, of who you want to work with. Like other than just like,
what do I look for in other people? Like what
for in other people of just being like, okay, yeah, you work smart, hard, but like the
you
qualities.
Know what? I like this. I always like a spontaneous conversations like this. See, I told you I was gonna enjoy this one. You know what? I don't know what it is, and I almost feel like I'm freaking weird, but I'm just a man of energy. Okay. So I don't know what it is. I just feel like I recognize good energy, and once I recognize it, I will gravitate towards it. And I feel, and I don't know what it is. I think I have something about myself too, where people gravitate towards me too. Okay. Because I'm all about spreading positive energy, right? So one is that. I think second, another thing is the authenticity. I don't know. I think I've built such a skill of smelling bullshit from a mile away. Yeah. So you have to be authentic, and then I think just being. The third one's kind of hard, but I just think of just being a good person. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm at this place right now where I really cannot stand being next to a cancerous, toxic, negative person. I just can't. I'm not about that life, and that might be from my background being a nurse, is that I'm always in a place of spiritual healing, distress, pain, you know, making tough decisions, families crying, and I think that's why. You know what I mean? So those are my 3 things, and it's just crazy. I always feel like it's evolving, but I would say those are the 3 solid things for sure. Yeah,
I think we're on the same boat.
Yeah,
when it comes to that.
I'm very selective with my guests, so that's why you're here.
Right? That's right.
I want to touch one more thing about the agency.
I just got one more thing because I will give you 5 more things. I'm kidding.
I'm just curious for people out there who are looking to start their agency, whether it's in your industry, other industries. Kind of, when did you know that you need to start yours? And second, is there something that you could really give to the audience or who are looking to start their own agency? Like, what's something like you may have learned or something they need to stick to in order to be successful in starting their own agency?
What I would recommend if you're either starting, so a lot of professionals just give you some background of the lines of business that beauty professionals can be, and it's either in salon. You come out of cosmetology school, or you're starting from the beginning, is I'd say is be an assistant, be the best assistant you could ever be. Okay. So that's one thing, is be the best assistant. I think a lot of the professionals are like, oh yeah, I want to start I want to be like you, or people like you, Naomi, and start my own, be a let it be a beauty influencer, a YouTuber, a blogger, start your own, gig or whatever, or agency. It's like, you must be the best fucking assistant, minimum 5 years, not 2. People say this 2 year, 5 years. You're always going to be an assistant. I'm always going to be an assistant in my eyes. Yeah. But you be the best fucking assistant 5 years. Get those credits, get those testimonials from the best and the hardest asses in the industry. And I kid you not, you will set sail easily. But being the best assistant for 5 years, 7 years of being that, and then you can do agency, YouTuber, because you will build, and also building that network from your authentic roots of showing not just your hard work, your tenacity, you're taking initiative, giving back to the community. It's going to show so much about you that you're willing to work at the ground level, like in the roots, like in the fucking dirt, that when you start, people are going to boost you up, have no issues. So that's what I'd say is like, not go work for 5 different companies, go and just pick a couple mentors that are a little difficult. I will say that, a little difficult to work with, because people don't like easy.
It's only going to groom them though, right?
It's only going to groom them. And you're going to cry, you're going to hurt, you're going to want to quit. But I would say, as I did this, is put a piece of paper, I put a $1 bill above my bed, and I said, do not quit. And I put my goal was to become a millionaire, you know.
Awesome.
By
I have
40.
the same.
By 40.
I have a check right here.
Yep. Yeah,
if you
I
see
see
that,
it.
and it
Yeah,
has a date, and it has the $1 million.
But do not quit. And that's been my thing. That's why, and I don't get
awesome.
down on myself when I get fired, or, you know, I'm like, I fucking busted my ass, and I'm not a good person, but fuck, I don't do ill. You know, you're going to have to fire me, kick me out.
Yeah.
Get me out of here, because I'm not going anywhere. You know,
I like that. I like
don't
that.
give up.
There's 3 things that you said. One is you use a platform of some kind, media, which was YouTube,
Yes.
if you can. The second one was be aware of who you are. And then the third one was put in the time and the effort.
Yes, you summarized it. Thank you. Yeah. But I would recommend, is picking and selecting for us independent contractors, choose a home, a social media home. Gary Vee talks a lot about that, and I love it. I'm owning Facebook and Instagram, but Instagram is my primary home. Okay, that. And not only just do your research and creep on people's, but actually start not just liking, but commenting, sound bites, getting some sound bites to comment on people's photos. Not just like, that's cool, that's awesome. Like, hey, props to you on doing that hair design, versus that's amazing. I hate that word, amazing.
Real engagement, real engagement.
Oh, it grinds my gears.
Yeah.
And not feeling entitled and taking initiative. Yeah.
Like it's not just me. I feel like people can smell bullshit a mile away.
Yeah.
They know if it's like a
I
bot
cringe
or a
when-
managed
So
social media profile.
now, if you've seen this, go on my profile and you're like, that's amazing. And I'm like, girl.
Man, I say amazing a lot too. I'm going to try to cut that out.
Yeah. Because it's like saying like and a lot.
Yeah.
To a public speaker, they cringe. They're like, stop. Stop.
Let's, you know, what's the future like for you with your agency? What do you got planned?
So for the future for Beauty Republic Professionals is intertwined with my beauty business coaching. I did not get here. The agency goes nowhere without my beauty business coaching. Anyone, it is required that you invest in my coaching, which is a 5-week coaching course. And, you know, they can reach out to me through, you know, my website, which we'll get to that later, my contact information. But the future is to bring on, my goals for 2 more beauty professionals for 2020. I'm not in the business of adding more players to my, you know, my starting 5. You know, I have a starting 3, and that's what I have. I don't have a starting 5. And getting to that starting 5 for 2020 is first that. And it's not growing, boosting our numbers. It's getting that quality content.
There you go.
Getting that quality content, meaning of doing the content yourself. And, you know, giving credit and doing a lot more volunteering, actually hosting a lot more volunteering events. We work with a lot of at-risk youth. We're on the board of I Believe in Her Foundation, which was just this month accredited to being a nonprofit organization.
Nice,
so
congratulations.
I'm very proud of that. And to listing 5 events, hosting 5 events for 2020 that we're going to be volunteering for.
That is awesome. In fact, I'm going to get a little off topic, but actually me and Andrew have plans to start a nonprofit next year. So we'll be talking.
We can do makeup and hair at the gym. We can do some braids. We can do braids. We can do box. We are excellent at box braids. But before we end, I also just want to share a little of our photo from Paige and I actually hosted a speaking event. I don't know if you can see. So this is a gift of a thank you from, it's called Breasty. It is an after school daycare program which hosts middle school, elementary, and high school kids in Los Angeles, within the Los Angeles community, but at-risk youth.
Nice.
And so we spoke to the young ladies there on our stories and just how we got to where we got to. And these are all their thank yous.
Nice.
Yes. So Fonda, she is the one that has the I Believe in Her. She's the founder for this. And then also wanted to show you of this curling iron. If you guys didn't see,
bring the mic to you. Yeah. So she has a curling iron here. And I was curious about that.
So to go back to of what I did in cosmetology school for beauty professionals, especially hairstylists, that's one thing, is to learn how to be ambidextrous. And this is a Marcel iron. Is literally my instructor would order me to do homework every day and just spin their iron like this.
What's the reason?
So it's to get the gnat and see. I try to spin, rotate it. Because this is going to help you avoid carpal tunnel or arthritis.
Interesting.
Versus the other handle that you use this is what triggers and results in when it comes to arthritis, carpal tunnel. So this helps avoid.
Wow. Yeah, interesting.
Now also your posture, the way, the type of, shoes you wear and everything, but that's going to help, avoid that.
Interesting.
But once you learn how to use that curling iron, you can get so quick at your hairstyles versus a normal, like a consumer curling iron by like 25% the cut time.
Interesting.
To make more money. So you use a Marcel, you get quicker and faster, but it is no easy if you can.
And both ways, right? You said? Yeah, rotating it.
Rotating, and then now try to open it.
Oh, like this?
And then close and rotate. Look at it! You give me a hair, Mira?
I got a lot of hair over here to curl, you know what I mean?
But yeah, and this is what my hairstylist would do is like go home and just do this for hours, for like an hour. At lunchtime, Naomi, while you're eating, I want you to eat and still curl. And so you can be so quick and you can start to learn to rotate, and not just the rotation, but just how the gnat and how the foundation is. Because once you learn this, you can this can help you when it comes to braids, when it comes to styling. This is going to also teach you, in different aspects for different hairstyles and different avenues.
Interesting. It's almost like going back to basketball because it's like the flicking, with the wrist.
And a good instructor, Lorena, oh man, she would just make me, because I didn't want to do anything else other than just style. So just one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thanks you for sharing that. Well, no, that's very, very interesting. I do want to end because we're going to be ending here shortly. Yeah. I think we spoke a lot about how your story, how you separate yourself from the elite. Just lots of different things.
Yeah.
I think what I want to drive home, and if you could speak on this real quick. I mean, there's a lot of people out there, and even for myself, just recently, have been having trouble trying to find their passion and turn that into a career.
Yes.
Like I've always been a passionate guy. Thank God I stumbled upon podcasting and a few other things.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You were able to find it at such a young age. There's some people who are able to as well, and then there's a lot of people who still haven't, or maybe still trying to figure it out.
Yes.
What are maybe a few things that you think could help people find that passion and turn that into a career?
I would say is if it gets you out of bed, let it be something, an activity, a sport,
I'm just gonna bring this down.
Oh, sorry.
I wanted to block your face. Okay.
Yeah.
So if it keeps you up at night,
not even keeps you up, it gets you jumping out of bed. And let it be if it's, some people are like, I really like fucking yoga. I really love Pilates. Let it be, I really like doing scrapbooking. I really like, some people are doing babysitting and just doing side gigs.
Yeah.
Try researching up on that. I'd say I'm a big researcher versus just like keep doing it. It's kind of like on a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
No. Research. Just research. I'm a big literature nerd. Not a lot of people are literature, so they're using a lot of podcasts, but I would say is that research people that are like titans or legends in that field, and start to follow and just research a little more and hear their stories. Because I think that's where differentiates a lot of the successful people to mediocre is that, hey, let it be fucking babysitting. Yeah. Who are the nannies in Europe that are named like the top, millionaire, start your research.
Yeah.
Versus just like, okay, I'm just going to babysit. And it's just like, you're not going anywhere. You're not doing the extra, taking initiative. Again, not taking initiative. Research.
Yeah.
Start your research. Just tap into it.
Yeah.
No pressure. Don't, hey, I need to do this. It's like, no, you either want to do it or you don't. Mm-hmm. I think that's, the biggest thing is tapping, is agree. Researching more and taking initiative. And you're going to have to do things a lot alone. Is doing it alone. Mm-hmm. That's what I would say is the biggest. I can recommend so many Jim Rohn, Dale Carnegie like books on how to read, but I'd say is try it alone. Mm-hmm. Try something that you're curious about. Mm-hmm. Want to be rock climbing? All right, go rock climb, but don't go rock climb by yourself without anybody.
That's the only exception.
But research. Okay, where can I go? And trying it alone. Mm-hmm. I think that's the first step. I'm not going to recommend other, avenues or other kind of suggestions because I think it's just trying it alone, and it's okay to be scared. Mm-hmm. Oh, you could be fucking scared. Yeah. And that's the biggest thrill, because once you do it, it's like the thrill. There is I can't even express to you, and I know you people have felt it, is that the fulfillment you get, like once you it's like a thrill.
Absolutely.
And it's just doing it alone. You're going to have to do it alone. And it's going to be lonely, but trust me, you're going to find a community. Mm-hmm. A community will surface. Mm-hmm. Yeah, doing it alone, doing the research.
On the other side of fear is something very, very rewarding, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And some people may not like it, and that's okay, but then do something safe. Mm-hmm. Then it's up to you. But doing it alone, do it alone. It's okay. It's okay if you're scared. That's my,
I love it. Naomi, thank you for coming on the parables. I appreciate you. I feel like Naomi elevated the parables. I almost feel like I'm like a talk show host because she had the props, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was like, oh no, I'm going to bring this. And I've had this iron, can you believe, for a decade.
Wow.
And look at duct tape, scotch tape, everything. Like, man, this thing has been, and it's still by my side. My baby.
That's like your prized possession.
Oh,
or
my
like
prize your trophy. She lasted, almost. Yeah. She's not pretty. She's beat up and everything, but she is loyal to me.
Sounds good. Naomi, thank you for coming on the parables. Guys, if you find value out of this episode, do me a favor. Share it with somebody it could impact or contribute and add value to them. If you're listening to this particular episode, please tag me and Naomi. Let us know that you're watching, and we will show you love back. If you guys can, it helps with visibility. If you could leave a rating and write a small review, it just takes 1 minute of your time on iTunes. We'd greatly appreciate it. You listening to the episodes alone has always been enough. But in 2020, we have big plans. Actually, before I forget, I told Naomi this. We're recording in late November, but just with my episodes, the way they're lined up, she's actually, no pressure. Yeah. She's going to be probably the first episode for January. Woo woo! So no pressure. That's but anyway, what I was trying to get at is in 2020, we have some big plans. Again, you listening alone has always been enough. But if you want to support the movement even more, I do have a Patreon page, and you could become a patron starting at as little as $3 a month. Yes. I appreciate that. And lastly, Naomi, you got to sign the infamous canvas.
Yes, I do. And before we wrap up, I want to put out there just, again, taking action, as I say it. Anyone who sees our podcast, that please don't hesitate to reach out to my Instagram, Naomi, MUA. And I will provide a complimentary one-on-one coaching segment.
Oh, man, that is huge.
If you have, I know you have thousands of us, but hey, and you know what? It'll have to be, though, you have to reach out within the 2-week mark of once it's aired. I will give that complimentary one-on-one hour segment of coaching.
Man, we appreciate that. So I know there's a lot of people who are going to find a lot of value from this episode, but to add on that, thank you so much. Yeah. I'm sure the audience will love that.
Yeah, it's my duty.
So, guys, thank you guys so much. Parables Podcast with Naomi Marin.
Ciao. Marin.
Oh, my goodness gracious. We are out of here.